From inside Madison Square Garden, I am Josue Pavon alongside Bobby Manning, where the Boston Celtics just beat the Knicks 133-118. And Bobby, they set a franchise record, hitting 27 three-pointers. And it was one way to beat up on a team, right? One way to separate yourself. But it's another thing when every single Celtics player who was active made a three-pointer in this one, or at least all the Celtics players that hit the floor made a three. Bobby, in your opinion, what led to this? What led to this outburst from the Celtics?
Philosophy from the coach. They love threes. They love math.
He loves math. He said it, right? He told us last week.
And we've been in agreement with us. Right. We're skeptical. And they threw it in our face in this one. They entered this game taking nearly half their shots from three. In this one, through the early portion, it was 2/3. So they were looking for those shots, and the Knicks gave it to them. So they ended up being quality looks. Celtics heated up as the game went on. Got some early ones from Tatum. I thought Brown did a good job shooting in the halftime, and they spread it out. Ben Schunik got some looks. As you said, pretty much everybody up and down this lineup was getting those open looks as the Knicks kind of collapsed in the paint. Asked Sam Hauser after just how they got that many great looks, and he said it was a lot of the drive and kick. Even some short drive and kick, Brogdon rolling a little bit and throwing it right back to Tatum. This team doesn't pull up a lot, which is why I'll live with it, because these are all catch and shoot looks. Almost all of them are open.
And that's exactly what we talked about in the Celtics postgame show. The fact that this Celtics team is getting those passes in before those open looks, which is exactly what Joe Mazzulla has been talking about. Execution. The Celtics have to find a space where they're comfortable out there. And man, the offense is, when it's clicking the way it is, the way we saw against the New York Knicks, it really shows you just how explosive it can be on any given night. Yeah,
for sure. And you do have a ton of shooting personnel here. I asked Joe Mazzulla, what led to this philosophy? Is it how the Knicks were guarding you? Is it how your personnel is lined up? And he went in that direction. They have a lot of shooting. They want to take advantage of it. They want to space the floor. That's the biggest thing, I think, is they want to give these guys room to operate. Makes sense. I mean, how much have we talked early this season about how easy the game's looking for Tatum in particular, and sometimes Brown?
Yeah, John also talked about during the Celtics postgame show how he was a little scared seeing Jason Tatum taking a lot of three-pointers, getting really comfortable back there, because last year, at least 1 year ago, that was the identity, that was the makeup of a loss, right? Getting too comfortable with the threes, relying on it too much as the other team works its way back. But this one was different against the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is. It's that percentage of catch and shoot looks that they're getting. They had a ton of assists in this one. Again, I looked up, it was 24 at one point. And they're one of the higher rated assist teams in the league to start this year. The passing is excellent. In this game, this might have been their best passing game all year, I feel like. They were connected. They were getting wide open looks. Marcus Martin's with 11 assists in this one. So this is the kind of offense we're seeing. They're dynamic. They can throw a lot of different looks and lineups out there. And that's another thing Mazzulla said tonight is no matter who's out there, their offensive identity is set. Still some progress to be made on the defensive end, and he said a lot of that's based on who's out there. They're obviously down a couple big men in this one, Al Horford, Luke Cornett, so they're running back and forth. The thing is, they're outscoring some high-powered offenses, whether it's Chicago or whether it's New York. The Knicks only led briefly in that second half, even though they were kind of there the whole way.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. You actually led me right into my next question was, how did they make up for the loss of Al Horford, the loss of Luke Cornett, and the front court still looking solid, still looking like a team that has that depth that a lot of people didn't anticipate going in. That was the biggest concern going into the season.
Oh, right? You're leading me into the answer. Noah Vonleh.
Yes. There it is. That's my guy. I mean, if you guys been keeping up, he's the Cornett guy. I'm the one that's vouching for the hometown guy and Noah Vonleh. And maybe he doesn't get that opportunity if Luke Cornett it didn't have to leave, the middle of that first quarter. But either way, it worked out for the Celtics.
Yeah, for sure. And Jason Tatum spent a lot of time at the end of the presser complimenting him, said it's tough to come off the bench like that after not playing for a significant amount of time. He had kind of lost his spot in the rotation after starting at one point in one of the opening games of this year and being that backup behind Horford. And he came out and did those things. He can shoot that three. I was telling him a couple of times up there, shoot, wide open. And he made a couple mistakes in the fourth, made up for them with a good deflection. He had an offensive rebound and putback, a couple of offensive rebounds on that play. You just got to go in there and do the little things. He can roll. He can play in space, I think, more than people think. He's switching. He's playing out in the perimeter, and he's piling up some stops out there. So, yeah, and this is your 15th guy on the roster spot. To be getting anything out of him is a huge plus. That was a good signing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For someone who people weren't exactly sure he would even make the team, but he certainly changed a lot of people's minds, including mine, from those preseason performances, from the very first one, honestly. But moving ahead, the Celtics will have a day off before they take on the Memphis Grizzlies on Monday night. What can we anticipate going into this one, Bobby?
If the Grizzlies keep defending the way they have, one of the worst defenses in the league, the Celtics should light them up again. A lot of wings that they can go at, smaller guards. They'll be able to put Morant and others in some actions. I think that's another defense that you can collapse and then kick out to shooters. You're going to get to the rim against them. They've struggled there without Jaren Jackson. So this is another game they can win, I think. It's another game that might be a shootout. Ja Morant, deadly as any scorer in the league right now. And you have a lot of shooting. You have Desmond Bane going off. You have Santi Aldama playing for Jaren Jackson's. Ton that they can do to race points with the Celtics, but Celtics look like the more high-powered offense right now.
And lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up this guy. We're talking about guys who are stepping up in big opportunities. We got to talk about Sam Hauser before we get up out of here. And I guess I'm going to leave you with this, Bobby. 17 points, career high, got going from behind the arc in a big way. Does this carry over into Monday? Or is this something that's just like planting a seed into the kind of three-point shooting threat that the Celtics need him to be?
I'm believing in the bench at this point. Like these guys who are stepping up, that's Cornette, that's Hauser, that's a bunch of guys on that second unit. I'm buying into it. I think this is real. They've played against some tough competition. They've survived. They've built on those minutes. Hauser's playing more and more every game. Is he a guy that can fill in for Tatum and Brown? Still think you got to pick your spots with him because he's made big progress on the defensive end. Still not a stalwart on that end. You got to find some balance at some point on offense, defense with this team. But the way he's hitting threes, like it's a no-brainer. If you're going to play offense like that, shoot a ton of them, you should have a guy out there who is pretty much 43% for his life. College, G League, and now the NBA, he's hitting at that level.
Yeah, as that sample size grows, I mean, that's what's really getting Celtics fans excited into thinking that this guy could be a legit weapon for the Celtics, and he's certainly going in that direction as he continues to impress. Again, a career-high 17 points in this one against the New York Knicks on this stage, Madison Square Garden. I think that that bodes well for his growth for sure this season, and we'll see how he responds. And of course, along with the Celtics against the Memphis Grizzlies, defensively, I want to see how this team responds. Especially, we talked about that as well in the Celtics postgame show. Any concerns or what is something that you can look out for? Obviously, there's Ja Morant, there's other weapons out there, but is that a part of this Celtics identity that's still a concern for you? I mean, they're averaging they're giving up about 114, 115 a night. They gave up almost 120 on back-to-backs. We'll see if they're able to clean that up Monday night against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah, and Joe would rave they were number one for the 2 games, and that's as long as it lasted.
That's right.
So I'm concerned just because I can't tell yet whether it's effort, whether it's personnel. They're hanging their hat on Rob's return. We'll talk about that in our next video. But so far, I think it is an effort thing. They can lock in when they need to. Tatum was great. He had another block in this one. But overall, too easy. Brunson getting to his spots, guys getting into the lane, offensive rebounds. Again, Julius Randle, Isaiah Hartenstein, all over those. Yeah. There's worlds, I think, where you lose these games. Not this one tonight because you were just so hot from 3. But the Chicago one, you go back and watch that. There are a couple moments there in the fourth where because of DeMar DeRozan and all that dribble penetration, the fouling, they could have taken that because of how lackadaisical the Celtics were on the defensive end. And it is a lack of connectivity, I think, more than anything. Maybe it's because there's new guys, Brogdon, Hauser, Cornette, Moore, new system, new scheme. But overall, they aren't sharp on that end, not close yet.
You know who else who's improved, in my opinion? Joe Mazzulla's in his timeouts. It's on point. Back-to-back games. We got to give him a shout for that because he's mentioning it. You know, he was snitching on himself during these pre-game pressers, and obviously it hasn't gone unnoticed. And I think he made some good timely timeouts here in this one, just like he did Friday night.
Yeah, and he's admitting he's not perfect. He's learning every game. He's taking advice from everybody around him. Overall, team seems to love what he's doing right now.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for our second video coming up. The Celtics once again top the New York Knicks here at Madison Square Garden, 133-118. Stay tuned for the next video. And of course, our continuous coverage at CLNS Media on Twitter and of course, clnsmedia.com. And of course, this segment is brought to you by our good friends over at Athletic Greens. Head over to athleticgreens.com/garden where you can get a year's supply of vitamin D, also 5 travel packs. If you haven't already, you're really missing out. This is such a good deal. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/garden. And also, this segment is brought to you by our good friends over at Calm. Head over to calm.com/garden where you can get a premium subscription for 40% off just for watching us here at the Garden Report. That's calm.com/garden.